The time is 7:19 p.m., August 7th, 2004. A frantic 911 call cuts through the Nashville heat. Just a word is whispered: homicide. An address follows. Then silence. When officers arrive at 2728 Mossdale Drive, they step into a crime scene drenched in quiet horror. A white male is face down in bed, a pool of blood spreading beneath him, his hands under his face, his fingers eerily interlocked, and a bullet hole in the wall. The question in the responding officer's mind: what in heaven's name happened here? 2 years later, inside a Tennessee courtroom, a 16-year-old black girl sits in silence. She is not just another face in the crowd. She is the accused. The judge reads out her sentence: life in prison with the possibility of parole after 51 years for the crime of first-degree murder. What led her to this moment? You may think you already know, but before you judge, before you even speculate, let's go back to the very beginning. Cyntoia Brown entered the world poisoned, not by choice but by her mother's addiction. Georgina Mitchell drank heavily throughout her pregnancy, a choice that would have lasting consequences on Cyntoia's life.
I drank for about 8 months of her life, and the 8th month, that's when I was introduced to crack cocaine.
The result was fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, FASD, a condition that affected her cognitive abilities, her emotional regulation, and her ability to connect with the world around her. Her father, absent from her life, was incarcerated before Cyntoia was even born. Her mother, too lost in her own world, couldn't care for her, and at just 2 years old, Cyntoia was placed into foster care. But the system was no salvation. She was eventually adopted by a schoolteacher, a woman who was kind and loving, but ultimately overwhelmed by the child who seemed impossible to reach. No matter how much her new mother tried to provide stability, there was always a distance, an emotional wall that Cyntoia couldn't break through.
Cyntoia, I don't think she was very trusting of me. Maybe she thought that anything she confided to me about, that it wouldn't be just to me. Maybe she thought that I would share that with someone else.
She felt the isolation deeply, more than anyone could know. It wasn't that she was unloved. It wasn't that her adoptive mother didn't care. It was that something inside Cyntoia left her feeling abandoned and lost. Now in her teens, Cyntoia ran away from home over and over again. Each time she came back, nothing had changed. The sense of not belonging, of not fitting in, only grew. Each new attempt to reach out, to find some connection, was met with disappointment. It wasn't long before the world outside her home seemed like a better alternative, even if it was filled with uncertainty and danger. And before long, Cyntoia's search for belonging would lead her into the hands of those who were ready to take advantage of her pain. For a child who only wanted to feel loved, the world gave her very little, only cruelty, indifference, and predators who saw her desperation as an opportunity to exploit her. Cyntoia Brown first encountered Garion McLaughlin, also known as Cutthroat, when she was just 16 years old. At the time, she had been running away from home, seeking the freedom and independence that she believed would give her the sense of control she so desperately craved. This is when she met Cutthroat, who at 24 years old was already involved in the world of sex trafficking. Their first interaction was predatory. Cutthroat took advantage of Cyntoia's vulnerability. He approached her with a calm demeanor, appearing to offer her the attention and support she had been seeking. He made her feel seen and understood, something Cyntoia longed for after years of feeling abandoned and disconnected. At first, he lured her in with promises of protection, stability, and the idea that he could provide her with the love and acceptance she had been craving. However, these promises quickly turned manipulative. As is common in trafficking situations, Cutthroat used a combination of emotional manipulation and coercion to isolate her from anyone who might help or protect her. He made her feel as if she owed him, and slowly he began to exert control over her life. He took her into the world of prostitution, using physical violence and psychological abuse to keep her submissive. His manipulation was calculated, turning her dependence on him into a trap that was nearly impossible to escape.
Scary and neglected. I remember one time, the first time he did something to me is when he choked me and I passed out. Because he said I thought he was a joke.
What else did he do to you?
He talked real bad to me and jacked me up. He pulled me by my hair and dragged me and stuff. He put guns up me, told me to strap and stuff like that, getting at it with other people.
Did you ever have sex with the guys?
When I put a fucking gun up to me, I did.
Did he have sex with you too?
Yeah, he had sex with me. Sometimes I don't want to have sex with him. He'd still fuck me. I'd be crying and everything.
So how come you stayed with him?
You're not listening. I made him money. He wasn't gonna let me go nowhere. He's told me he'd kill me. He knows where my mom lives. And I know the dude choked me till I almost passed out. He's not a perfect.
This manipulation led to a distorted sense of loyalty in Cyntoia, a common response among trafficking victims. Despite the abuse she endured, she protected Cutthroat, even when it meant sacrificing her own well-being. Her sense of self-worth was shattered, making it difficult to trust anyone, including herself. This raises profound questions. Why do victims stay loyal to those who harm them most? And how does trauma warp our sense of self-worth and trust? In this dark chapter of her life, Cyntoia's world was confined to motels around Nashville, the constant sting of cocaine, and the unrelenting demands of a man who saw her as nothing more than a commodity. On the night of August 6, 2004, under the neon glow of a Nashville Sonic drive-in, 16-year-old Cyntoia Brown waited for her next transaction. In her mind, it was just another night, another client, another face, another exchange. But this night would be different. It was Johnny Allen who pulled up next, his truck rumbling to a stop in front of her. The 43-year-old real estate agent offered her $150 for sex, an offer she accepted. He took her to his home where he showed her his gun collection, casually bragging about his military background. Later, as they lay in bed, she noticed him reaching under his mattress. Fearful that he was retrieving a weapon, she acted in what she perceived as self-defense, shooting him in the back of the head. In the chaotic moments that followed, Cyntoia took Allen's wallet, containing $172 and 2 of his firearms. She fled the scene in his Ford F-150, eventually abandoning the truck in a Walmart parking lot. Approximately 24 hours after the shooting, Cyntoia called 911, anonymously barely able to speak, her voice trembling as she provided just enough information for them to find him. This incident would set in motion a series of events that would change her life forever, leading to a trial that would question the very nature of justice and victimhood. Detectives traced Cyntoia's movements, finding her fingerprints on Allen's nightstand and recovering the stolen items. She was arrested shortly after at a nearby hotel in Nashville. Her initial claim of self-defense was met with skepticism, as evidence suggested Allen was asleep when shot. Jailhouse informants later reported that Cyntoia had boasted about the killing, further complicating her defense. Cyntoia was charged with first-degree murder and robbery. Prosecutors painted a picture of premeditation, citing her actions post-shooting as evidence of intent. The trial proceedings raised certain questions. Was Cyntoia's action a desperate act of self-defense or a calculated move driven by other motives? How does one's traumatic past influence their perception of threat and response to danger? And at what point does survival instinct cross into premeditation? Despite her age and traumatic history, she was tried as an adult and convicted, receiving a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 51 years. For the next 15 years, the world outside moved on while Cyntoia Brown sat behind bars, carrying the weight of a lifetime sentence handed to her at just 16. But her story, one buried beneath the headlines of murder, refused to stay silent. By 2019, something had shifted. The documentary Me Facing Life. Cyntoia's story had peeled back the layers. It showed a scared, traumatized girl, a child really, who had fallen through every crack society had to offer. Her voice, once muted by courtrooms and cold verdicts, began to echo across the nation. Celebrities like Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, and LeBron James tweeted in outrage. Advocates, lawyers, and trafficking survivors rallied behind her name. Then came the moment no one saw coming. On January 7, 2019, Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam announced that he was granting clemency. He acknowledged not just the flaws in how Cyntoia had been sentenced, but the extraordinary efforts she'd made to transform her life behind bars. Transformation should be rewarded, he said. Cyntoia would be released on August 7, 2019, 15 years to the day since Johnny Allen was killed. She didn't walk out bitter or broken. She walked out with a mission. In the months that followed, she earned her college degree from Lipscomb University. She co-authored her memoir, Free Cyntoia, offering the world an unfiltered look at the road she'd traveled, from trauma to transformation. But she didn't stop there. Cyntoia became a voice for the voiceless, speaking out about juvenile justice reform, human trafficking, and the countless girls just like her still trapped in systems built to punish before understanding. Her story became more than a case study in injustice. It became a symbol of what's possible when redemption is not just allowed but embraced. Cyntoia's story is far from unique, but it doesn't have to end the way hers nearly did. Every girl deserves a chance to rewrite her ending. The question now is, will we listen? Will we change the system before it fails another child? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to True Crime Depot for more stories that make you question everything.
They all wanted acceptance and admiration. Hell yeah. That's what they wanted. My dad wanted to be admired because of the hard work he put in driving trucks and making that money and supplying us with the life that we lived. Cutthroat. He wanted to be admired by everyone else in the street because I remember that one time he said that I was going to work and get him this truck. It was a Suburban on some 26s. He wanted admiration. He wanted somebody to respect him. He wanted people to admire him. That's, oh my God, fuck. And then you got Johnny. What did he say? I want a woman to make love with me with desire. Remember I told you that part? Desire. He wants to be accepted. Hell yeah. And those are my fucking problems.
How are they your fucking problems?
Because I always want to be accepted. For 18 fucking years.